The BJP National General Secretary Ram Madhav announcing that the BJP is pulling out of its alliance with the PDP in Jammu and Kashmir. Kartikeya Sharma now joining us for more on that. Kartikeya, though he outlined the fact that peace and progress had not been implemented by the government and that's why they were pulling out, he outlined many reasons. He also said that President's rule should be imposed. But if there's to be any alternate government, the PDP would need both the NC and the Congress and others to support it.
No, I think there will be President's rule. There is no doubt about it, because for a national conference, and Congress will not try to make a government at a point of time when the political credibility is so low. So I think I really don't think they'll be coming together. What is going to happen is that at 4 p.m. meeting, the PDP is going to take a high moral stand and it's going to say how Bharatiya Janata Party has tried to betray them, and for this reason they also don't want to be part and parcel of the government. We must understand that this is like beating a hasty retreat, whereby PDP and BJP both understand that their political capital is eroded beyond repair. Please understand that the killing of Shujat Bukhari in broad daylight brought the situation to a position where everyone knew that it's not possible for them to stay together. Two competing parties with different set of vote bank, totally against each other, without the person who actually crafted this alliance. This alliance could not, I don't think it would have been able to sustain itself. PDP is a South Kashmir based party. South and Central Kashmir today is hotbed of terrorism. Villages are out of reach for army and police personnel. Most of the stone pelting is taking place there. Bharatiya Janata Party is completely concentrated in Jammu region. So there was a clash of interests, and on top of it you had this hyper-national agenda of 370 or the so-called soldier, the Sainik colonies. So instead of actually working upon those issues, you created, there was a rift between the valley, Jammu and Ladakh. And on top of it, you had a petition by a third party on the issue of 35A, which further vitiated the political discourse. So I think this is not out of any high moral ground. Both of them understood that if they continue together, it's going to further erode their base. BJP understood that the more they stay with PDP, it's going to be blamed continuously for the situation, because BJP has taken, which today they call the double doctrine, a very hard position against terrorists. But it has completely failed, because ultimately the softer approach of Vajpayee was far more successful. Vajpayee's NICO, non-initiation of combat operation, lasted for more than 90 days. Here, NICO could not sustain itself for 25 days. So that's the difference. And it just goes on to say that sometimes soft approach works. The whole approach of Kashmiriyat, Insaniyat and Jamhuriyat worked far better than the way BJP in this avatar wanted Kashmir to be resolved. And plus there was a difference of opinion. All the Kashmiri parties say that Pakistan has to be on board. Ultimately you can't create normalcy on border. And that's the fact and that's also one fact. When Musharraf and Manmohan Singh, they came to some conclusion regarding the border, there was no firing which took place on a line of control. And when Musharraf went out of power and the other elements of army came into the play, the violence has gone up on the border. Today there's a 400% increase in the firing between Pakistani and Indian forces. So sometimes soft approach works. You really don't need to carry a hard stick every time. And lastly, I would say that they have done it because they feel that the more both Mehbooba Mufti and BJP continue to be out there, the general public, at least in the Kashmir Valley, will not come to the table. So at least now Dineshwar Sharma will have some space, and you can have a governor who can do things. It's not the first time Jammu Kashmir has gone under the president's rule. But what is new this time, Amitabh, is that the sort of radicalization, the marriage of Islamic radicalism with Kashmiriyat and participation of school and college children, and most of the terrorists being recruited from southern Kashmir. So, that's the basic difference. These terrorists are not radicalized in a madrasa across the border. They're all public school educated in English school. They're all grown up speaking English, but radicalized through social media application. So this is a different avatar, though a repetitive move, but a different avatar of terrorism in Kashmir.
Again, you were pointing out about President's rule in the past. Now, Mr. Madhav also said that once the governor takes charge, controls the situation, then possibly the political process can move forward.
Absolutely. The political what it does is that the government becomes faceless. You don't have faces, so the anger comes down. You know, this might be one of the reasons I have not spoken to my primary sources, but what I feel is that why did BJP take a step back? For simple reason, it was taking the maximum heat. In politics, if you don't gain out of alliances or friendship, you move out of it. Which means that the BJP was not gaining anything out of this friendship. In fact, it was being blamed for the problem. And I think this realization was dawning upon them, because many of the people felt that the way BJP has approached the issue of Kashmir was untenable. And on the other hand, the position taken by Mehbooba Mufti could not have been fulfilled by Bharatiya Janata Party, which is a position on 370, position on Pakistan, a position on, you know, for example, those who were booked under stone pelting, they were I think before Ramzan, they were given legal relief. BJP was opposed to it. So ultimately, despite having common political or power interests, they were culturally and ideologically different. So it goes on to say that if you are not like-minded ideologically, it will be very difficult for you to sustain yourself in long run. We have seen this in a broader sense the way VP Singh's government came down. Why? Because it was supported by Bharatiya Janata Party on one side and Left Party on the other side. It came down. So I think this is not new in Indian politics. Same happened in 1979 when Morarji Bhai's government came down, because the Janata Party comprised of Swatantra Party MPs, Jansangh MPs, and they fought each other and the party split. So the absence of ideological similarity and different approach towards Kashmir led to this situation. They had to retrieve their political capital, and they, to my understanding, that's the only option which I think had both PDP and BJP had, which was to disassociate.
Retrieving the political capital, you've also pointed out that the PDP will be meeting at 4 p.m. to decide on its strategy. Are you saying that they also likely take a similar position?
I think so. PDP is also going to take a maximal position. I don't think PDP is going to take a position that, you know, we are very sorry that BJP has done it. Perhaps, you know, they should have stuck with us. No, I'm 100% sure that the PDP is going to blame BJP. PDP right now is going to appeal to its conservative constituency. PDP is going to say that many times they said that the talks must happen, but it did not. PDP will take a contrarian position. So tomorrow when we'll open newspapers, we'll find two different versions as to what has happened. And those two versions will tell one truth. And that one truth would be that both PDP and BJP ideologically and in context of Kashmir were never on the same page because of different social constituencies.
And talking about the other parties, the National Conference and the Congress, are they absolutely marginal players in this whole drama?
I think they are marginal players. And secondly, why should NC want to step in at this particular point of time? I don't think Omar Abdullah will take a risk like this. When, you know, ultimately, when you take control of Kashmir, you are responsible for it. The Chief Minister of Kashmir is also head of the Unified Command, which means that the army responds to his command. Which political party at this juncture will take responsibility? I think the responsibility will have to be taken by the Home Ministry. The governor is there. The whole mechanism will kick into action. The governor becomes the, you know, I would say, the face, the administrative face of the state, and then the interlocutor comes into position, and you don't have the burden of political parties. But I would sound very positive when I say this, because the situation in Kashmir is completely different. It's impossible for people to go to rural areas. You know, there is no neutral space in Kashmir, which has the most, I would say, troublesome point. Earlier, journalists would go and speak to Abdul Majid Dar, a very known face and a terrorist and a militant. But today, can any journalist go and speak to a terrorist? Is there a common ground? You know, people earlier at that point of time would go and report with the underground workers. Can someone do like that? There is a collapse of middle ground in Kashmir, and that's where the problem is, and that's where the civil society is getting it. Because even while you want to talk about the middle ground, you will be considered an outsider. So the real job of the center would be to recreate a middle ground in Kashmir, which used to exist despite extremism, despite terrorism, so that that middle ground can talk to the other side, talk to this side, or at least can continue the process of talk with normalcy. Because right, what has been affected in Kashmir is ordinary rhythm of life.
Karthike, we've got the national spokesperson of the PDP on the line, and you're free to jump in with the questions as well. Mr. Kaul, what is the PDP strategy? We do know that you are meeting at 4 p.m. We seem to have lost that line. Karthikeya, you were talking about middle ground and how the different ideologies of the BJP and the PDP made this almost inevitable, especially with the elections coming up in 2019 as well. Mr. Madhav did refer to what he called the perceived discrimination of the people of other regions of Jammu and Ladakh from the valley.
I would say that the real problem here is that Mehbooba Mufti thought that it would be enough for her to sustain in long run, for one simple reason, that one, she inherits the legacy of Mufti Muhammad Saeed, and second, she would be able to, as Mufti Senior used to say, bring the North Pole together with the South Pole, and at least with that they would empower the certain constituencies which were not affiliated with National Conference, which is North Kashmir. But what happened over a period of time was that the people from South Kashmir felt that no, the problem has been is being conceived in the terms of security issue. Please understand, when we go to Kashmir, the people will say it's a political problem. People will say it's a social problem. No one will say it's an economic problem. People will say it's a cultural problem. People will say that the problem is in the way India perceives us. But people will resist that if you say it's a security issue, because the narrative there is different from the narrative in mainland. In mainland, the narrative would be, no, Kashmir is a military problem. But the difference in the perception and BJP taking, or the government taking a strong position on solving it in through a security operation created the dissonance. Because when Mehbooba came to power, or Mr. Mufti Muhammad Saeed came to power, people felt that there'll be talks, there'll be more trade, people will talk about integration, borderless Kashmir. But none of that happened. We will have to understand that Kashmir is a political issue. It's not an economic issue. And Kashmir is not is not Kashmir Valley. Kashmir is Kargil. Kashmir is Baltistan. Kashmir is Ladakh. Kashmir is Jammu. Kashmir is Poonch and Rajouri district. So there are different Kashmirs in Kashmir. But when you talk about that valley, 180 kilometer by 30 kilometer, it has a different anxiety. It has a different concern. And the anxiety, concern, and the terrorism which emanates from the valley, it affects people in Jammu also, and it has created the religious polarization. So I think there's a multi-pronged, you need to have that multi-pronged effort.
Right. Karthikeya, just interrupting you because Ghulam Nabi Azad is currently speaking.
स्वीकार की और ये 3 साल बीजेपी और पीडीपी जम्मू कश्मीर में सरकार चलाने में बुरी तरह असफल हुए, और इन 3.25 सालों में इन्होंने जम्मू कश्मीर को बर्बाद किया, तबाह कर दिया। जम्मू कश्मीर को एक पटड़ी पर, राजनीतिक पटड़ी पर, डेवलपमेंट की पटड़ी पर कांग्रेस ने, नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस ने, जब हमारी सरकार रही, हम लोगों ने आतंकवाद को खत्म किया था, विकास शुरू हो गया था, डेवलपमेंट शुरू हो गया था। लेकिन जब से बीजेपी ने जम्मू कश्मीर में पहली दफा सरकार में कदम रखा, तो हमने उसी दिन बताया था जी कि जम्मू कश्मीर की बर्बादी शुरू हो गई। मैंने पार्लियामेंट में भी कहा था कि जहां जहां भी आपके कदम पड़ते हैं वहां आग लग जाती है, और वही जम्मू कश्मीर में भी हुआ। इन 3.5 वर्षों में बीजेपी और पीडीपी की कोalition गवर्नमेंट के दौरान सबसे ज्यादा सीज फायर वायलेशन इंटरनेशनल बॉर्डर पे जम्मू प्रोविंस में हुए, सबसे ज्यादा सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस मारे गए, आर्मी जवान मारे गए, पुलिस के पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस के लोग मारे गए, सबसे ज्यादा सिविलियंस मारे गए, सबसे ज्यादा सिविलियंस जख्मी हुए। तो सबसे ज्यादा जो आंकड़े आते हैं हर चीज में, वो बीजेपी और पीडीपी के कोटे में जाते हैं। आज जम्मू कश्मीर को बर्बाद करके, तबाह करके, अब बीजेपी सारा गुना पीडीपी के मत्थे फोड़ के भाग नहीं सकते। तो बीजेपी की सरकार, केंद्रीय सरकार अपनी जिम्मेदारी से भाग नहीं सकती, अपनी नाकामी से नहीं भाग सकती। और जो उन्होंने गलती की थी, मैंने प्रधानमंत्री जी को 2015 के शायद मार्च के पहले हफ्ते में राष्ट्रपति के अभिभाषण पर बोलते हुए कहा था, और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी बैठे थे, क्योंकि उन्हीं दिनों उसी हफ्ते में इनकी सरकार बनी मुफ्ती साहब के साथ। तो मैंने प्रधानमंत्री जी को बताया था कि जो जम्मू कश्मीर में आप सरकार बना रहे हैं, ये हिमालय जैसी गलती होगी, हिमालयन गलती होगी। और हम प्रूव साबित हुए कि वो हिमालयन गलती थी। और एक तजर्बा इन्होंने किया, क्योंकि इनको जम्मू कश्मीर में सरकार चलाने का कोई अनुभव नहीं था। कश्मीर का जोग्राफिया, हिस्ट्री का इनका और लेना देना कोई था नहीं, क्योंकि पूरा उम्र भर इन्होंने कश्मीर के खिलाफ प्रोपेगेंडा करके तो अपनी पार्टी बनाई थी, और फिर वहीं 70 साल के बाद सरकार चलाना चाहते थे, जो कि एक असंभव चीज थी। अब जो कुछ हुआ, मुझे लगता है कि ठीक ही हुआ। इस तबाही और बर्बादी से तो जम्मू कश्मीर के लोग बच गए, जिस तबाही का शिकार पिछले 3-3.25 साल से जम्मू कश्मीर के लोग हुए थे।
Sir, is there a chance that Congress
No, there's no question of making any government with PDP. Question does not arise.
सर, रीजन की बात की है, जो रीजन की बात की है कि 2 रीजन को तवज्जो मिल रही थी, एक रीजन को नहीं मिल रही थी, इस तरह का बयान।
ये सब बहाने हैं, ये सब बहाने हैं। जब नाकामी हुई इनकी, पैसे खूब कमाए, करप्शन खूब किया, डट के करोड़ों रुपए कमाए, एक ट्रांसफर के कितने पैसे लेते थे, पैसा कमा लिया और जम्मू कश्मीर को बर्बाद किया, और अब बहाने बनाते हैं बीजेपी। टोटल फेलियर ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया। भारतीय जनता पार्टी should be squarely held responsible. While I hold the PDP government, PDP leadership for this responsible, but the Bharatiya Janata Party and central government cannot shy away from the responsibility. Basically, the initiative was taken by no less than the Prime Minister of India to have a government, because we had approached the PDP. I had approached, and I'm very happy that Umar Saab seconded that proposal of having a greater alliance of PDP, National Conference and Congress. And both Umar Saab and I assured on behalf of the party they will support Mufti Saab for full term the BJP. But it was on the instance of Honorable Prime Minister, whose party, I won't say that he himself, but indirectly, the local government was threatened that they will not get the full assistance, full support from the BJP should they go for some other alternative. And they compelled the regional party to have an alliance with the BJP. And I had cautioned Honorable Prime Minister on the floor of the House in the first week, or maybe the second week of March 2015. I had cautioned Honorable Prime Minister, should you form a government in alliance with the PDP in Jammu Kashmir, you will be committing a Himalayan blunder.
Ghulam Nabi Azad of the Congress making it clear that the Congress will not try to support the PDP in any government formation moves. Kartikeya Sharma still with us for more on that. Kartik, it also seems like it's moving in the direction that you were indicating, with Mehbooba Mufti also resigning.
Problem was not coming outside the alliance. The alliance was the problem. A lot of people were saying that there were two competing social constituencies. In Jammu, imagine that the state government actually fought over, or the politicians within the government fought over rape of a minor child. And it turned into a discourse of national versus anti-national. It turned into a discourse between Jammu and Rohingyas. It turned into a discourse of Jammu Hindus versus the Pahari, or the so-called the Gujars, pastoralists who who primarily come from the higher areas of Punch. So ultimately, everything was boiling down to a narrative, whether you are on this side or that side. Are you with us or you are opposed to us? So how do you expect to run an ethnically and religiously diverse state like Kashmir? Like, for example, the whole of Kargil and adjoining area is Shia. The valley is Sunni, but with Sufi imprint. You have a lot of Hindus in Jammu. Then you have Sunnis in Punch and Rajouri area. The whole of Ladakh is Buddhist. How do you govern an ethnically diverse state like that? Then you have different races altogether. You have Pahadis, you have people from plain, and then you have North Kashmir and South Kashmir. Even in Ladakh, you have different people of different regions. It can be divided into Nubra and other areas. So, it requires some sort of a personality which can take everyone along. But what was happening was that Kashmir was also becoming a casualty of a larger discourse within India, where people thought that, well, the only way to take care of Kashmir is through military action. But then people react to it. It is okay to say that military is required, but military is required on border. You don't need to put military in civilian areas. The day you put military in civilian areas, it goes on to show that you don't have civilian administration. So the breakdown of civilian administration became the biggest problem in Kashmir. So, that is why people say that the military should remain in borders, because that's where the job is. Even if I compare this insurgency with Punjab, military did not solve insurgency in Punjab. The insurgency in Punjab was solved by police force under KPS Gill. Police and team of officers directly reporting to Mr. Gill, they were responsible for it. There were ethical debates whether Mr. Gill did the right thing or wrong thing. But insurgency has not taken place since then. Yes, you have the Khalistani voices in Canada and other places, but these voices don't exist in the same avatar the way it existed in 1980s. You don't have big conclaves on or big rallies on Bhindranwale. You don't have them. You might have his photograph on a T-shirt, but that's like Che Guevara on a T-shirt. Being a communist icon being appropriated by consumer capitalist companies. That's a different thing. But Kashmir is on a different trajectory. You have a volatile border. You have no normal relationship with Pakistan. You have children participating in insurgency. And the worst thing is we have put military in between. How can we create a situation where it becomes army versus people? And I think that's the worst thing which has happened. So again and again I'm saying, Amitabh, it was the collapse of the middle ground. And I think they had no option but to retreat. And that's why I say that the problem stemmed from the alliance itself. The problem did not come from outside the alliance. Do you think that the Congress is strong enough to create that problem? And most important of all, it's not even like Narasimha Rao's government. During Narasimha Rao's government, you had Charare Sharif. You had Gul Muhammad, who had to be given a safe passage by Indian Army. You have local boys joining the militancy. We have to also look into the core issues, which is participation of the local boys, radicalization through social media, and they being at the forefront of terrorism. Earlier in 80s, people would cross the border, ISI would train them. Now what is happening is ISI is providing them weapon. ISI is giving them AK-47. ISI is giving some people cover support. But the major recruitment is taking place within the valley. I think this is a problem which we have to answer. We can't close our eye to the issue that the sentiments have hardened. And we have to understand the sentiments have hardened. This is not 1950s that we can bomb Aizawl. Things change. India has changed. We cannot take those actions which we took in 1950s in urban spaces. Right. It's not permissible.
Well, Karthikeya, we have re-established that line with Dr. Samir Kaul, who's the spokesperson of the National Conference. Mr. Kaul, you've heard what Mr. Ram Madhav has said. You've heard what Ghulam Nabi Azad has also said. What is the National Conference's next plan going to be?
I'll have to, I have to admit that I didn't hear both of them. I've just come online. But all I can say is at the moment, in some time, the Political Affairs Committee of the National Conference is going to meet and deliberate the situation and come out with a final opinion on what their suggestions would be for future. So I'm at the moment unable to provide you more information than I have just done, because I really don't know, and we are going to arrive at that conclusion
Right, you're saying the PAC will meet to decide its next course of action. I'll tell you what Ghulam Nabi Azad has said, though he's said there's no question of the Congress supporting the PDP in any sort of move to form the government there. Could the NC and the Congress try to do that?
I wouldn't think so, but I mean, this is my personal opinion that at the moment, whatever it takes to quieten down the violence, bring peace to the people of Jammu and Kashmir should be done and will be done by the National Conference. But what that is will come, the decision will come only after proper and logical discussion of the pros and cons of every possibility.
Right, Dr. Samir Kaul, thank you so much for joining us. You're saying that the National Conference will decide after its meeting. Let's also listen to Osaiddin Owaisi, who's reacting.
Development because BJP has no vision, no policy, which they have shown, and this is a failure of BJP itself. ये जो इक़दाम, ये जो फैसला लिया गया है बड़ा अनफॉर्चुनेट है, और मैं ये समझता हूँ कि इस फैसले के बाद गवर्नर रूल होगा जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में और रिप्रेशन वहाँ पर होगा। बीजेपी इक़्तिदार में हिस्सा रही है पीडीपी के साथ, और बीजेपी ने कोई इक़दामात नहीं किए, ना तो डायलॉग के लिए, ना उन वादों को पूरा करने के लिए जिन्होंने इन्होंने जो एजेंडा ऑफ अलायंस में जिसका वादा किया। बीजेपी का असल मकसद क्या है कि आर्टिकल 370 को बर्खास्त किया जाए। कोई भी कश्मीरी इसको कबूल नहीं करेगा, और बीजेपी का हमेशा से मकसद यही रहा कि 370 को निकाला जाए। ये बड़े अफसोस की बात है कि शुजात बुखारी के क़त्ल को इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है ऐसे पॉलिसी को और आगे बढ़ाने के लिए जिसका आगाज़ पिछले 2 साल से हुआ था। मेरे पास महबूबा मुफ्ती के लिए कोई हमदर्दी नहीं है। महबूबा मुफ्ती और उनकी पार्टी का कोई सियासी मुस्तकबिल अब वादी में नहीं रहा। मेरी पूरी हमदर्दी कश्मीरी अवाम के साथ है, और मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि कश्मीरी अवाम।
In fact, let's just listen in to the BJP National General Secretary Ram Madhav announcing that the party is pulling out of its alliance in Jammu and Kashmir. PDP Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti has also handed in her resignation.
Keeping in mind the larger national interest of India's integrity and security, keeping in mind the fact that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India, in order to bring control over the situation prevailing in this state, we have decided that it is time the reins of power in the state be handed over to the governor.
On the phone line is Sohail Bukhari, a former advisor to the state government, media advisor. Mr. Bukhari, it seems now that President's rule under the governor will be the next step.
Of course, that looks the possibility, and by all means, going by the fact that the BJP is pulled out from the alliance, the Chief Minister, we are told, has already submitted her resignation. It of course means that we are in for governor's rule. It is a very dramatic development as far as the politics of the state goes, and particularly in the backdrop of the situation as it was developing. This definitely was something that was not expected, at least at this point in time. This is dramatic and sudden for sure.
Karthike from the newsroom. Why are you saying that it is dramatic and unexpected when the problem in Kashmir was stemming from the alliance itself? Both competing social constituencies of PDP and BJP were never on the same page on most of the basic issues.
Well, yes, that remains the fact. But Karthike, while you pointed out correctly that they were always never on the same page, but they did continue in the alliance. Isn't that a fact as well? While they have their own politics, their own, geographical and vote base to which they have been, trying to work for and trying to woo them. But despite all that, they did come together to form the government. Right from day one, they've had issues between two of them. the alliance was never in sync. At least of late, you've seen that, not much of progress vis-a-vis the ideals that were at least projected for this alliance were being made. But that did not really push either of them to pull out of the alliance. They continued till date. And that's the reason why I termed it as sudden and dramatic.
But then what changed after the brutal assassination of Shujat Bukhari? Something must have changed. You have been a media advisor to Mehbooba Mufti. You and a former journalist yourself. Why do you think BJP quit the alliance suddenly? What happened?
Well, I can tell you one thing, that, all of us know that politics is amoral. And, there is no one specific reason that you can say is the trigger or is something that has led to it. I'm sure, BJP, while taking this decision, has thought about the long-term prospects. Though it has listed several things, including the discrimination in the regions of Jammu and Leh, and how things were not going and how the government was not in a position to really control the things. But that was there for a long time. Had that been the reason, they would have pulled the plug earlier. Or for that matter, one could even ask, when was the last joint coordination meeting at the highest level between the two coalition partners where these things could have been discussed. So all that, put into perspective, we can conclude one thing, that it's a political move essentially by BJP, most likely looking at how the situation has been developing in Kashmir, and of course an early preparation for the 2019 elections as well, because remember, what happens in Kashmir will have a bearing in the overall projections and the campaigning that the BJP would take on for the Lok Sabha elections. So I personally believe that this is part of that, and they would now focus with having projected themselves as a party that has sacrificed power for the larger national interest, and of course use that elsewhere as well.
But then, before I let go of you, Sohail, don't you think that Mufti Saab, in retrospect, took a very big risk when he said he's getting the South Pole and North Pole together? Ultimately, it not only alienated his own constituency, which today is the hotbed of terrorism, which is South Kashmir, but also created a situation where the whole politics turned into national versus anti-national.
Of course, at the hindsight, if you look at it right now, you would always, and anybody would say that that was a decision that did not pay well. Whatever the reasons that Mufti Saab must have considered while going for this alliance, and that is something that has been listed by the party, by Mehbooba Mufti, time and again. It was a competition that actually has some possible forward movement with the resolution of Kashmir issue, and also bringing together the regions of Jammu and Kashmir state together as well. That remains something that is probably thought of, but actually has not translated. And of course, it has left the situation far worse than it was before they came together in alliance.
Sohail Bukhari, a former media advisor to the Jammu and Kashmir government, reacting to today's developments. Also joining us on the phone line is a Kashmiri activist, Lalit Ambardar. Mr. Ambardar, would you say that this is in view of the BJP and the PDP seeing its own constituencies in the run-up to the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, that they see this government untenable together?
I think if you look at it purely in political sense, yeah, that appears to be the reason, because Jammu had given an electoral face to BJP in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, Jammu and Ladakh, in fact. And what the feeling at the ground level has been in Jammu and Ladakh, that mandate was surrendered in Srinagar. And that even if they had to go in for an alliance, true, they had to form the government in Jammu and Kashmir. If they had to go in for an alliance, but conditions of alliance were not comparable to the electoral strength that BJP had achieved in Jammu and Ladakh. So everybody was disappointed there. The discrimination, as Mr. Bukhari was talking about, the allegations, which is a perception in Jammu, which is to great extent a fact that Jammu remains discriminated against as well as Ladakh. So that is the political part of it. But looking at what we have on hand in Kashmir is Kashmir Jihad. and that has to be tackled. It can't be tackled purely in terms of calling it a political issue. It's not a political issue. Look at the mayhem that we have in Kashmir. A guy, Shujat Bukhari, who was actually one of them. He never called himself an Indian. He was an advocate of independence and secession. Right. They bumped him off. They bumped him off, and possibly at a stage when he was trying to have some kind of contact, he may have realized that Kashmir is going to hell. So possibly he had a realization, he was trying to revert back to some kind of reconciliation at some level. He has been bumped off the way Maulvi Farooq was, the senior midwife was bumped off, then Abdul Ghani Lone was killed, then this guy has been killed. So I think the situation in Kashmir, there has to be some realization. We have the political process, the political part of elections and all this. Okay, but Kashmir is not normal. Kashmir is not just another state of India anymore. It has a typicality attached to it. It has to be handled. But what BJP did in that agenda of alliance, that was complete surrender. I think that went against the very issue that they fought election on.
Lalit Ambedkar, an activist, joining us on the phone line from Srinagar. Let's just listen in and recap developments so far with the BJP announcing that it's pulled out of the government in Jammu and Kashmir, and the Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti, who has resigned. There's a PDP meeting at 4 p.m.
महबूबा जी अभी 5 बजे आपसे डिटेल में बात करेंगे. Meanwhile, she has submitted her resignation to the governor and sent it to him.
Keeping in mind the larger national interest of India's integrity and security, keeping in mind the fact that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India, in order to bring control over the situation prevailing in this state, we have decided that it is time the reins of power in the state be handed over to the governor.
The BJP has pulled out of the government in Jammu and Kashmir. The latest developments include the Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti, who has handed in her resignation. The PDP will meet at 4 p.m. to decide on its next step. The NC's Political Affairs Committee will also meet, though the Congress's Ghulam Nabi Azad has said there's no question of supporting a PDP-led government. We'll get you all the latest on that.